Right now, we are unconsciously stripping our planet of its natural resources at a rate higher than we can renew them at. If we don't become aware of what we are doing, we will end up with a planet that is uninhabitable. According to Annie Leonard in her entertaining yet informative presentation on the story of stuff, she states that in the past 20 years, 1/3 of the planet's natural resources have been consumed. In the U.S., less than 4% of our original forests remain, and 40% of our waterways have become undrinkable. So we need to become aware of the ways that the current consumeristic practices are harming our Earth, as well as become aware of the ways that we can make a difference in changing the outcome of the destruction of these resources. The system used to measure the way we create and distribute our stuff is called the materials economy. It is a linear system, and the problem with a linear system is that it doesn't work in a world that resources are limited. In a world where the resources are limited, a circular system needs to be put in place to put back in what is taken out, to replenish the supply. Annie Leonard goes on to say that the materials economy is a system in crisis because of the fact that we live on a finite planet. She says that here in the U.S. we are 5% of the world's population, but we are creating 30% of the world's waste. And if everyone was consuming at U.S. rates, we would need 3 to 5 planets to fill everyone's needs. Now that obviously isn't an option since we have just this Earth. Annie also states that we have lost 80% of the original forests on Earth, and that we lose 7 football fields worth or 2,000 trees per minute in the Amazon. The conclusion is that we obviously need to take a serious look at what we are doing to this planet's limited resources and take the responsibility as well as the action necessary to make the change so there will be a world to live in for our great-grandchildren. First, let's take a look at the linear system. The linear system contains 5 steps, which are extraction, production, distribution, consumption, and then disposal. Now, extraction is when we take the natural resources out of the earth to use them in the production of goods. Production is when we take these natural resources that have been harvested out of the earth and combine them with other things, like toxic chemicals, to create products. Byproducts are then created through the production process at this time as well. This leads to the need to dispose of them. They go back into the earth. But they create harm instead of replenishing the natural resources that were taken out from the earth in the first place. The U.S. alone admits to releasing 4 billion pounds of toxic chemicals into the earth per year. Now, distribution is when the produced items are sent out to where the consumer will find them to purchase them and use them, such as in a store. Then consumption is when the product is purchased and taken by the consumer to use. The shocking fact is that within 6 months, only 1% of all produced material is still in use. The rest of the 99% is thrown away in the 6-month period time. How is it that we became so wasteful as a society? My grandmother has told me many times how things were simple when she was a child. How they valued what they owned, how they took care of it, and how it would last them for years. For example, she has a washer and dryer that she has used for almost 50 years. They look and they work like they are almost new. I think that's showing the value of taking care of things right there. So, if we weren't always wasteful, how did it begin? Victor Lebeau, a retail analyst during the post-World War II period, stated, "Our enormously productive economy demands that we make consumption our way of life, that we convert the buying and use of goods into rituals, that we seek our spiritual satisfaction, our ego satisfaction in consumption. We need things consumed, burned up, replaced, and discarded at an ever-accelerating rate." These are incredibly shocking words. Our spiritual and our egoic satisfaction is to be based on consumption? No wonder our society feels empty all the time. We are basing our spiritual satisfaction on consuming of products. So now, the question is, what are our options to change this system, to create that one of sustainability? The first thing is recycling, which does help combat more stuff being put into landfills or from being incinerated. Another way is simply for us to use less and to buy less. We can walk instead of drive. Make sure we turn off the power whenever we can. Every little bit helps. We can make our homes a place of zero waste. We can think of ways that we can use products over and over again, like taking your own coffee cup instead of buying a coffee and throwing it away in the disposable cup. Also, simply talking to people and making them aware of this process will raise the overall awareness, in which in turn will lead to a change in the consumeristic practices and in turn affect the health of our world. We are all responsible for what happens to our planet, and if each one of us makes the choice to commit to creating sustainability, we can create a difference together.